Do you have any idea how this...
With the button.
I can turn it on and off, but then it just doesn't connect to my... Oh, baby. What are you... Is that like a security camera?
That's just on the little gimbal.
That's what we should get, is little security cameras that we can control. Just like...
Sweet. I'll chuck that there. Oh, yeah, baby.
Drowned out the air compressor starting up.
3, 2, 1.
Whatever.
Ooh, thanks for chucking the episode out so quickly this week.
Yeah, it's super easy. Well, you could tell by the audio quality of that. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on it, and we weren't often running that router table, so we're going to hold off on that at the moment. Man, I've had
It was fun.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the audio was fine for me. Riding home last night, re-listening, I was like, is there something wrong with my bike? No, I'm pretty sure it's Justin's router. It's fine. I kept stopping and pausing and be like, no, it's not the bike.
So the router table just cranked up to max RPMs. I've had this DeWalt, like one of the cheapest DeWalt handheld routers. It's not a trim router since 2016. And it's been in our router table. Production, like everything we ever run in our router table has been through that thing, and it's never needed any maintenance. I've just basically been waiting for the brushes to wear out on it, and just keeps going.
Which DeWalt is it?
Oh boy, the basic one. I don't even know if I have it in my assets thing.
I think because you bought it.
There it is, DW616.
Oh, it is. Dang.
You have that one?
Yes. So when we've had 2 of those in the history of butter, that was our first CNC one of those, and we flogged it, and we had it rewound like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, really?
Over years and years and years.
Interesting.
Flogged it.
Oh, sorry, I got to turn you up.
Worked it to the bone.
Loved and flogged it.
Yeah. So when we bought the original plasma cutter, it had screen share. It had that strap to it, but it was wired for 110 because it was a US machine, and so I used to initially I ran it off this like really sketchy power transformer, 240 to 110, and then that we finally destroyed the router windings and had it rewound to 240, and then years later. So maybe that's why that tone kind of rang a like trigger for me. Like I recognize that router tone.
Paid $82.99 for it in 2016, and it has definitely made its ROI.
Awesome. Good little routers.
What's been going on lately?
In the last 2 days.
Yeah. What have you been doing the last 2 days?
Just settling back into work. A long business coaching session on Tuesday, which was good. And yesterday I was in the welding bay covering for Andy, who's still on long service leave. He usually does our welding. That was fun. Something different. Headphones on. Just playing with a MIG for a couple of hours. So it's good. Satisfying.
Was it like shop upgrade stuff or?
A couple of products. Probably the last steel framed products we'll make for a while, I think.
Before we get the retirement pod or template on Shopify?
Yeah, I think we're going to pack up the steel bay. And this is the last steel order that I'm aware of.
I'm going to ship it off.
Ship it off, pack it up. Yep. Make better use of that corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I have like the most random small assortment of a welder. Used to have a metal cutoff saw, but it sucked, and we replaced it with just a cheap. Actually, it's like an old school jet horizontal bandsaw, and it's been okay. It's not bad. I got off Craigslist in the heat of like pandemic. Everything's super expensive, and I think I overpaid for it, but like I couldn't find anything available, so we just used that to cut off. But like we probably don't really need anything else. We don't really know. I'm like the only one that knows how to weld, and I'm not going to sit there and do production welding on anything. So it's like. Yeah.
No, we'll definitely keep it as a maintenance function. Like, how else am I going to make my monkey bars? Really? But yeah, we'll keep. It's actually Laura's MIG. It's one of the first tools that kind of formed the business.
Oh yeah.
And the cutoff saw was decent. Again, it's pretty old, and the gearbox is got a huge amount of backlash in it, but still does a decent cut. And yeah, so I think we'll kind of keep the core functionality, but just like shrink it all down.
Yeah,
we've got like a huge 6 meter by 3 meter steel rack on the wall that takes up a lot of wall space. So the plan, I believe, is to sell that and then put more pallet racking there to increase our storage.
yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
How's your week? What's happening?
We had a pretty serious run of problems with the Bambu printing PETG. It's been the first major. We had a bit of a hiccup early on with it, and adding Z-Hop fixed that. And basically in the last, I don't know, it's been a week, I guess. Sorry, I should turn this off. It's hot here. I had my air conditioner on. I'm sure that was loud. Sorry. Yeah, so the Z-Hop, we've had it since December, so winter here, through, well, basically last week. So it's current day, May, right? Like May 15th or so.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been great. Amazing. No problems, like never tweaking anything. We just print stuff with it. And as of last week, it just started printing trash PETG parts, like tons of blobs, like making imperfections that like basically make the parts in our minds like not suitable for products, stringing, oozing, stuff that like we had problems with the Prusa. And I was kind of having like a little like existential crisis of like, not again. What am I going to do? Like, and tried to deal with it ourselves. Ended up sending a message to support yesterday. And it said they'd get back in 3 days. They still haven't gotten back. So that's not super encouraging at this point. In that time, I finally was like, wait, it's hotter out. And that was always in my mind. It's hotter, something to do with that. And then I finally was like, what if I just drop the nozzle temp 5 degrees? I was trying all this other Z, pop, retract stuff, and it would cause mini collisions, and like all the stuff the Prusa was doing caused nozzle to like get clogged up, and dropped to 5 degrees, and we had 2 perfect prints. And I was like a week of basically like starting to panic, like, what are we going to do? Do I have to find a new printer that can somehow print this, even though there isn't another version that's supposedly, I don't know. And 5 degrees seems to have, it's currently printing another one. Minor amount of string hanging off the front, but that's nothing. It's superficial. So weird, but seems to have fixed it.
Awesome. Good to know. It makes sense that it would be affected by ambient temperature. Like it's not a kern. It's not a liquid cool.
Just chatting about that with some friends of like, oh, what if it had temperature compensation?
You could mod it.
Oh, God. That's I just wanted to work, like that was where I was getting all fussy with it. I was like, like, this just is what happened with the Prusa. Like, we didn't mod anything. Like, basically, I changed the temperature for the generic PETG and added Z-Hop. And that was all we've ever done. It's just printed the same part since, like, the same file.
Can you explain the Z-Hop thing? I don't really understand what it is.
I don't fully understand it, but basically instead of whatever it needs to move, traverse, right? It's just like the router or a CNC.
Yeah.
Instead of, I think, just going straight across, it literally does a little hop in Z before it, up and back and over, I think. And then there's all these other things you can change, which I sort of understand and was trying, but they were doing nothing for us with like retract before Z-Hop, and you can change how much retract, and like wipe before Z-Hop, and if none of it worked. Nothing was helping until I dropped which makes sense. It's like the temperature's hotter, but for some reason all of it wasn't computing. I thought it was too wet, and anyway, I don't know that that's a panacea, but it fixed the things for us at the moment, which is happy making.
Good. I did a little bit of printing last night at home because Laura was between prints. Laura's prints are like about 20 hours long at the moment, and she's got about 2 weeks worth of them. But so she's taking the printer home, but I did a little bit on it last night between jobs, and I discovered the ludicrous mode speeds.
Yeah.
It's crazy. What speed are you?
It's pretty wild.
Are you just using regular standard? Yeah.
It's so fast anyway. It's like when people ask me, I'll like post a time lapse, they're like, is that ludicrous mode? I'm like, it's so fast. Like, no, we're so happy with its normal speed.
Yeah, I just feel like it's going to wear itself out at twice the speed. Already it seems like it. Like, I can't imagine how it's not just self-destructing at the speed it goes.
Right. Yeah, I've had a bunch of people I follow get them lately, and it's basically always the same reaction. It's like I'm sure I've been doing it that other people saw too, or it's like you're just kind of mind blown at how fast it moves. And like Winston Moy had a whole write up on having gotten one. He's used, I think, Enders for quite a long time, and he's just basically had like a similar maker existential like realization of like, this is what CNC should be in the future, right? Like, they should have intelligence, they should compensate for things, they should have software built into them rather than just like, I run code, let me run into things.
Totally. Yeah, it was my daughter earlier in the week was like, Dad, let's print something, and like she sat there for a good half an hour just like watching the whole warm-up cycle, just like transfixed by the printer. Don't need a screen anymore. Totally. Just turn the printer on.
I've got a good print for you for them. I printed one for Aaron. It's a little octopus, and you print it in place, and all the joints are connected, and you can twist it, and they're all
cute.
They're all interconnected. It's a lovely little toy.
Hook me up. Hook me up with the toys, man.
It's called the Cute Mini Octopus. It'll be in the show notes.
Good. Yeah. Otherwise, in here, in buttery news, I've got an exhibition that installs next week.
Oh.
Yeah. 6 days. I need to get my act together and actually make the thing that I intend to exhibit. But I did start early yesterday morning machining some parts of that. But I'm going to do, I've got this sort of envelope in the gallery that I've committed to like kind of filling with a piece. It's about sort of 2.5 by 2.5 meters cube. And when I was sick on the weekend, I was thinking about like what I'm going to do there, and like just kept coming back to the idea of the Kidder sauna.
Oh, I will buy one.
So I'm not going to exhibit a Kidder sauna, but I am going to like use this as a bit of a development exercise to like prototype that structure. And I don't think I'll use sauna-proof materials, but I think I'll sort of pursue the idea in terms of how it all goes together, just using our regular materials. And then maybe after the exhibition, it'll become a little like working from home pod at home.
Ooh.
Because I really want to build an office outside.
I wish my office was bigger. I want a little recording studio.
Yeah.
I'm in here and I just have your little office version inside my office. Justin's in his cube.
So yeah, I've been working on that. And yeah, it'll be fun. See how far I get with that over the next week. But next time we chat, I will have just installed it. So fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming there's some crazy like expansion and contraction to deal with and all that potentially.
In the sauna version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like when I posted that story about designing a Kidder parts-based sauna, everyone was like, oh, what materials are you going to use? Like, plywood's not going to work.
Magic materials.
Like, just let me show you. But I did make some test dowels out of Akoya. You're familiar with Akoya? That like vinegar treated pine stuff?
I feel like I've heard of it.
I think it comes out of New Zealand. ACCOYA. It's like a naturally treated or more naturally treated modified pine product. So they do it like a sort of vacuum kiln liquid thing where they like completely fill it with this like vinegar solution. Anyway,
I was thinking of acacia, and that's not the same.
Nah. It's got like a 50-year outdoor rating, above ground rating. And we've used it on a few projects over the years. It's quite nice to work with because it smells like salt and vinegar chips when you machine it. And it's just, it's effectively just soft, clear pine. So it's very easy to machine and work with. Anyway, I've got some Akoya in the rack. So I was thinking of making the dowels out of Akoya for the sauna version. But I'm not sure what to use for the actual, like, the ribs.
Yeah.
But I'll do some tests at some point.
Some kind of, like, loosely slotted in fasteners so I can expand and contract and some tongue and groove.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's fun.
yeah, that's my fun thing. One thing. What's your fun thing at the moment? What are you working on?
Dang, I gotta do. I enjoyed just working on that photo shoot, kind of making little stop motion animations of like silly things and work holding stuff, or not work holding, tool setup things that new products we had put out last we had talked. And just haven't done anything like that in a long time. Just like taking photos and literally changing like the front page of our shop. I just had barely touched, and it's kind of hard sometimes when it doesn't feel like there's much. When you're not making anything new or changing anything, it's like odd to keep changing it about. Like it feels like a lot of. I didn't have any good reason. I felt like before, so that's been nice. And
ooh, nice. Looks good.
Playing with different plugins for Shopify. I realized I had made this one as a reminder system for us, and trying to make a system for kitting and like packaging and bundling products that it was an auto add to cart plugin on Shopify that would add an install guide to your cart. And it was just a reminder to put the sheet in the box for like the person packing the package. And apparently, luckily, somebody messaged me. I was messaging with somebody trying to buy a dust boot yesterday, and they're like, yeah, it won't let me buy that one. It says it's out of stock. And I go and look, and it's not out of stock. I'm like, what is going on? And I went and tried it myself, and the stupid install guide auto add to cart thing was not letting people check out.
Yeah. Frustrating.
So simple. And I was like, God, when did I turn that on? Like, how many days has this been like this? But, I think somebody else would have asked probably at that point.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you?
Silly. Got to be more careful. I guess the lesson maybe is like try it yourself before, when you turn something on, like try to check out, or I don't know, not try stupid plugins.
Yeah, we've certainly done that when web sales have been slow. I think both Jay and I are like, quick, open new incognito window and try and check out. I'm like, is something broken? Oh no.
I'm emailing with this person, and I was like, oh yeah, crap. Try and take that install guide out of your cart and see if it works. And technically it was supposed to keep adding it to the cart too. So I was like, man, if the cookie things don't work, like if I turn it off, is it even going to work for him? Like, is he going to be able to check out? And so luckily it worked, but get too creative with my problem solving.
Yeah, I'm a bit scared of installing random stuff in our Shopify.
I found a lot of sweet stuff.
I know. There's a lot of stuff out there, and I have ideas. I'm like, wouldn't it be neat if it could do blah, blah, blah? And then, like, I just have this sort of moment of friction where I'm like, I don't want to even try. Like, I'll break something.
Yeah. While we're on the topic, the thing I found recently, which maybe you found, Shopify has all these plugins, apps that they don't bundle into the main thing that you can like install. And I like found another one called Search and Discovery. And it basically allows you to like create synonyms and like filter how people search, give boosts to things, recommendations. But the thing I found most useful, since now we have all these new types of CNC cullets and tools and tool holders and stuff like that, is it lets you add more filtering capability when you're like in the index of products. So like you can sort by ER32 based on the tags that we've put into the back end, rather than having to search for literally everything. Like you can actually filter things down a little bit better. It's still not like perfect, but it's much better than the kind of like before. I think you could like filter or sort it by like price and availability. It was like kind of useless stuff in my mind.
Yeah. And was that a plugin or was that a native setting?
Yeah, I'll share it.
Yeah, cool. That'd be good.
One of their like, wait, that's to our store. I'll find it and send it to you.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Sweet. What else?
Speaking of plugins, we both got access to GPT-4 plugins this week.
Yes.
Which I was excited about. And then I looked through the list and then I was like, what do I do?
Kind of had that reaction too. I was a little overwhelmed. There's just too many and you can't search them. They're just like a weird list that you have to go through like page by page.
Yeah, very odd. Did you do anything?
I do use Wolfram Alpha much?
Not specifically.
No. I use it a lot for like date calculation and like for quoting jobs and stuff. I'll say like today plus 3 weeks of business days or something like that. It'll give you that date. And I have like a keyboard shortcut thing through Alfred that makes that fast. So like that's interesting that you can bring all those data pieces in now into the GPT. Like I had it, I think the one I sent you is I was like, what's the average temperature of my, the zip code all time, like look it up in Wolfram, and it like did that. So I don't know. At this point, I don't have any like strong uses for it, but I was doing some coding just with GPT-4 this morning for like a countdown timer. So
yeah, cool.
I still use it all the time.
Yeah, cool. No, I think my biggest output in GPT this week was like I've taken to doing all my business coaching sessions in it. So I kind of use it as a virtual assistant when I'm in the session to take my notes, and sort of like I start the chat and I'm like, this is what I'm doing. I'm in this session. I'm going to input my notes directly in here for your sort of consideration and feedback. And so then it kind of, we just have this conversation that's run sort of parallel to the coaching session, which has been cool. And then I use it as we're going to sort of summarize stuff and put, action items and lists and things. So that's been good. I love it.
I think my one that I didn't follow through with much, like it was so novel for so long that I was so excited. And now I use it so much that I forget the things I've used it for. Yeah. And it solved my problem really quick and I just moved on. But I asked it yesterday, what is the maximum cutting force for a normal vacuum with gasket fixturing in a VMC? Assume 1/2 inch parts in 6061. And it gave me a really detailed answer with a calculation and a force that is interesting. Like I could have given it an area maybe. And I guess the feedback thing that I can't figure out, because I'm trying to figure out if we can cut these certain parts. And I don't know how to get to an answer of particularly I want to use potentially that Pearson vacuum table thing he has. Yep. And they're fairly pricey, but it should, if we have the right job for it, it would make a lot of sense. And I was like, how do you calculate a cutting force of a tool and then if it's going to throw the part or not? I know the math to it, but it's how do I get I don't know how to get the tool cutting force, I guess, at this point. Maybe there's a calculator for that. Or do people just go off gut feeling, kind of like we do with the router?
Cool. Yeah. I've been researching alternative business structures. So we've been doing a bit of work around our sort of organizational chart and the tree, the traditional tree hierarchy has kind of been clashing for me this week. I'm I don't really like this, and it doesn't, in our tiny little company, it just doesn't feel right. And so I've been doing a bunch of research about alternatives to that and mucking around, drawing sort of strange little circular flowcharts and stuff. Yeah. What I really want is GPT or one of these tools to be able to dynamically create vector flowcharts. That would be...
I have thought about that a lot, and I think there are tools, but yeah, I would love it to be able to do some graphical things for sure. That would be pretty ideal. I'm sure it's coming.
Oh, no doubt. The multimodal stuff is coming. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I guess the other thing I had it calculate, I could look it up in our help desk somewhere of the weight of Baltic birch by volume. So I was trying to calculate some shipping costs, and I just had it. I was like, what would 13,000 cubic inches of solid Baltic birch weigh? And do you have a dog?
Yeah, Jay must have just arrived with the two dogs, including the puppy.
Oh, that puppy's cute.
Yeah.
Anyway, it gave me an answer, and then I had Bard do the same thing just to compare, and they were wildly different answers, wildly different weights. So then I was like, oh, good, neither of them were right.
Yeah. How reassuring.
Yeah. It's good enough for a quote.
Did you have any follow-up thoughts to our big product life cycle idea the other day?
I don't have the thing that I didn't dig into that I've thought about. My initial starting point is I'm thinking either we'll publish a version of our Airtable products so that it's in an article on our help desk
Yeah.
that has basically like the components and what you can do with them, I guess. It's like the thing I keep thinking about. My simple version is we're making these things. We're always trying to make them better, more, sustainable, all those things. But some of them aren't as much as we'd like. But what we do have, I think the minimal place for me is what do you do with it? What can you do with it? What's hidden inside that you can't see? And just giving people knowledge that they could look up and say, yeah, well, what do I do with this dust boot when it breaks?
Cool. So like
just
an end
the
of
most
life
bare minimum
guide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Send this bit back to PDX and recycle this bit and blah, blah, whatever. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. And that
That's
could
great.
be pretty easily done with like a library of materials. And then when it's tagged to something in a product, associated with a product, then that can be condensed into some table that can be shared. So it's kind of like a live updating
That's cool.
list. So if you look up your product, it's got PETG, it's got HDPE, it's got some neodymium magnets. Here's some glue. I don't know. And we're not going to have answers for all of it, but I like that this way it can be dynamically updated. And yeah, I don't know. I just think that's important. I don't think there's a lot of effort given to it. And it at least helps my brain feel better about some of the things that, I know recycling isn't really doing what we think it is in the world anymore, but when we find better answers to those things, I'd like to improve on those too. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And it's just good to have something published and out there. And it'd be nice if if you could guarantee that website, that page will stick around, like beyond
for sure.
beyond the life of your company almost. Like, how do you sort of ensure that information stays accessible? No, I think in bigger picture here, not just you, but like if we as companies put that sort of information out in the world, how do you make it sort of more permanent so that in whatever year's time someone could go, they can ask their AI chip in their brain, like, I've got a PDX dust boot. What do I do with this PET? That's cool. I like that idea.
Yeah. And I think honestly, some of that helps. I mean, I've definitely had resistance to making products internally, my mental process to not make something because I don't feel like I don't do it because I don't think it's a good, responsible thing to make. And I think by having to think about and put these things associated with a product when you're making the product, right? Like an Airtable, that's our way of doing it. It makes you consider it again. It makes you think about it past, well, now we're making it. And it's like, well, okay, what if this thing could be replaced with something else that is like, somebody tried to pitch me one time on using Bambu instead of the HDPE for the plates of the dust boot. And while it's an interesting idea, it's just not feasible. It does not have the structure to do the things it needs to. But, I'd love to replace all of the plastic parts with something that was more sustainable. At this point, like, I don't have options for that. There are becoming more options of like regrind or, non-virgin plastics, but it's just, there's not enough demand for it. I don't think that it's brought it down to a reasonable price. I wish some of those things would be solved. I don't know that we're going to be solving them, but I would like to use some of them.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of that stuff just needs a crisis to push it over the line. Like, we need to be in a position where raw virgin materials are a lot harder to obtain or more expensive or to sort of
probably
force
like
our
government
hand.
regulations that are not going to happen here anytime soon.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's interesting. I like the concept. I really like the concept of those questions being asked at the product development stage. Like if in your instance, Airtable is your sort of product development structure or platform, that as you're thinking through or sort of publishing a new product, you're asked those questions as part of the system of like asked to consider them before that thing even goes out into the world. I think that's cool. Definitely something we could look at integrating into our product devs. Well, I'm hesitant to add any more sort of like clutter around our product development.
Because it restricts you. Yeah.
Yes, because I feel restricted by it.
No, I think
But that's a pretty important one.
For me, though, I agree. I wouldn't want to. I think what's nice, at least one of the better things I've set up so far, I think is it's so far into my development phase of using Airtable that the Portland CNC products Airtable base is very seemingly well constructed, and that we can like put inventory items into it and it goes back to the inventory table, and like things are starting in the last couple months to like be really useful. So it goes, we have a way now to like pick a product, and if we're trying to reorder stuff for it, it'll show me all the things that are in it, all the BOM, right?
Oh, nice.
Because I'll say to Ricky all the time, like, hey, do we need anything else for duct towers lately? Like, I know we've been selling them. Like, are we out of these screws? And he's like, what screws? And we can't remember. So now it's like, you can sort by the product and see, oh, all those screws. And then he can go count them up and see what we have. And it's been great. And it's finally like the dream I've had of like, oh, we actually can do these things. And I'd say the one thing I'm now a little bit at odds with is like adding all these techniques is going from having their information in like a spreadsheet to needing it to go into Shopify and Airtable. And it's like this mess of like nothing really vibes together. I know you've been using that air power thing. I looked at it, but I don't really know that it solves those problems for us. So it's just kind of a manual entry mess, I guess.
Yeah. I just sent you a screenshot of something Jay showed me the other day where they've been using GPT to create Airtable formulas. And in that example was like a kind of a lead time check that looks at, because we have a 4-day working week, we've always had this odd thing of like, how do we tell our customers that our lead times are sort of our business days and not the world's business days?
Plus one.
Yeah. But it seems very capable of assisting with such formulas, which is cool.
I found some really cool stuff. A lot of it before all these AI tools, I would get some help from people on their community forums of like, one of the challenges I had was I was hand numbering every job inquiry we had. And it's basically just like a year and then the next number. And somebody came up with, not the end of the world, but basically looks through all the numbers and goes, all right, well, it's this year. And the last number I see is this, make a new one at this. And so like all those little things, like once you can get them figured out, it's like so sweet that you no longer have, I accidentally jumped our inquiry numbers by 1,000 by putting in the wrong number, and then I kept going. So I was like, well, I guess it's still working, but there's a big gap there. But those are satisfying. Yeah, that's sweet. It's so satisfying. It's like if these tools got taken away now, I'd be so frustrating. Like going backwards in human efficiency significantly.
I know. Do you think there's a risk of that?
Like we talked about, I think they could get more expensive. I mean, so many of them are free right now, and people keep coming up with new ways to make it open source that it's like these companies are going to have to find some way of monetizing it, because like it ends up being so, which is crazy. So much of it's like out there, and there's enough smart people that seem to make ways that, like this, what was the thing called GPT for all? I haven't used it much, but it's like I have it on my desktop now, and I can just do all these things right there.
Yeah, I had that thought. I was like, I'm glad I've got that model on a hard drive. Like, if they take all these sweet toys away from us, at least I've got that.
Yeah.
And I can keep training it.
When the apocalypse comes and nothing else works, we'll still have our GPT.
Still have GPT for all. Yeah, that's it.
I agree. That's all I need. That and Rhino and my Bambu.
Sweet. Sounds good. Justin's Desert Island lists.
What wants that? Coffee, RX bar, seltzer water. I'm good. That's all I need. One suggestion, I thought about this while we were chatting. I think Dylan suggested it to me a long time ago from Within Tolerance. But if for your Bambu, they come with glue sticks. They have kind of weird beds on them, I find. Like they're almost too sticky in certain circumstances, and you have to put glue stick on it, which I find to be Neanderthal-ish. I do not like the glue stick thing. I'm like, why am I spreading children's toy glue around on this $1,500 printer? And so Dylan suggested nano adhesive, and this stuff is amazing. It's not cheap, but it's basically going to last forever when you buy a 50 mil little bottle of it, and you just put some on, clean it with dish soap in the sink, put some on with like a little brush, let it dries in like 2 minutes, and then we print for like 1 to 2 weeks with that adhesive layer. It sticks really well, and then once it's done, you just wash it. Like we have a little soap dish thing in the sink, and we just scrub it, let it dry. We have two beds now, and I mean, not to brag, we have 2 print plates, and we just have one ready in case the other one starts to have issues. And
great.
Highly recommend that stuff. It's so much better than the glue stick.
Awesome. Good to know. Not available in Australia, but I'll try and find it.
I can hook you up.
No, nice.
And then I send you that, and like we get like banned for sending adhesive in the mail.
Yeah.
You guys have some laws about importing. We can't bring dogs there. I mean,
thank you. Check it out.
What are you gonna do on your last day of the week?
I got to go finish welding these tables this morning so they can get taken to the powder coater, and then I need to make some content to sell some products. Shopify
doing that too
sales,
right now.
Very dire still, very slow. I need to give all of that a bit of a kick, and I'm starting to think whether we need to go crawling back to the land of digital ads, but something needs to be done. So I need to spend some time this afternoon on that. Yeah. What about you?
I'm also trying to get some promotion around having new products. One of the things I thought would be pretty effective is just to make some videos of like using the setup stuff.
Absolutely. I'd like to see you using that torque wrench.
Yes, especially because the only thing that works anymore on any social media platform is videos. You can't, like, my photos got like 20 likes, like nobody, even like a short stop motion, it's not that exciting, but like that got like no engagement. It's like you have to make the perfect thing for the algorithm god, or it does not bless you.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that. And then I need to finish up some mill parts, putting together I've had this list and all these parts that have not come together yet. I think I maybe talked about this like collection of all these different components, and it's how's the simple way to say it? So there's, like, have you seen what are those called? Oh God, the orange vacuums everybody has from the UK.
Yeah,
it's like a sump cleaner. I cannot remember the name of that company.
Yeah, I know the things you mean.
I saw one at the show. So they're like real expensive. I mean, for a shop like us, they're just small, and we have one coolant machine. So basically, this guy came up with a version to basically order parts from like hardware stores. I have like plumbing supplies and a drum, and it uses this cool like siphon style vacuum via air pressure to be able to suck out your sumps, clean the chips out, clean the oil, kind of separate it, and then either put it back in or, end up recycling it. And we need to switch over to a new coolant. So I was just using the stuff that came with the machine, and it's just not good. It's like some Chevron soluble B. It just was never good. It's weird and kind of never the right consistency, and we didn't put enough effort into it. So like we're gonna switch to something more common, and it's just been like this big, like we've been making it work for a really long time, and it just needs to be done. It's gonna be quite the process, so I need to jump into that soon. Not excited. I'm excited to build this thing. I'm thinking I'm gonna make a video on it so other people can do it too, because it's like basically a $700 or $800 solution instead of 1,600 or 8,000 are the two other options off the shelf that we found. So it's a pretty good deal.
Okay, great.
Anyway.
Pleasing fittings.
Oh yeah, they are. Little banjo.
Yeah. Well, have fun.
Yeah, you as well. Good fun with your welding.
Thanks. I will. See ya. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye. You have made me think, not to continue this forever, but I looked at our last 30 days of Facebook ads.
Yeah.
My ROAS is absurd. It's 15 and 13 for the two ads I have running, with a total of 18 purchases for what? I can't do that math. $4,000 or $5,000.
Wow. Nice one.
Again, who knows if they're giving me the right statistics, but I'll take it.
Are you running video ads?
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, I should probably head off.
Cool. All right. Thanks, man.
Yep. See ya.
Catch you soon. Bye.
Bye.